12 years old, I smoke a joint. And all of a sudden, I don't feel that fear anymore. I don't have a fear of being around a crowd. I feel a part of. I'm funny. And as I go on in years, I'm not scared to talk to the girls when I'm high. Right? The fear goes away. I can do things that I would normally be afraid of. It took this away from me, and it worked for a long time. But it's a progressive illness. It's a progressive disease. And this gets worse. It gets darker. It gets heavier. I feel more empty. And I feel it with this, with drugs. It works for a second, and then it starts to not work at all. So now I'm getting loaded. I'm having all these consequences, and I'm still sitting in this. Right? So I put it in my system. I have some consequences. I get stopped, but I can't stay stopped because I'm sitting in this. And I'm not going to sit in this long before my mind tells me I know what'll fix that. Never mind, you've got all this. You can just do a 20. Even though I don't have an experience that shows me I can just do a 20, my mind tells me I can, and I'm going to buy that lie. And I'm going to put it in my system, and I'm off to the races again. Then I get stopped, and it just keeps going and going and going and going. Really, my great obsession I want to control it, and I want to enjoy it. When I'm controlling it, I'm not enjoying it. And when I'm enjoying it, I'm not controlling it. But that's my great obsession. Although I don't have an experience that shows me that I can control it, every time I get it, I say, I'm just going to control it, I'm going to enjoy it this time. I'm only going to take a couple. I'm going to wean myself off these pills. I don't have an experience that shows me I can do that. What my disease looks like with nothing in my system, untreated, without a solution, is that I struggle with personal relationships. Friendships and relationships seem to just go poof in my life. Right? I'm a prey to misery and depression. Some days I didn't even want to get out of bed. I would roll on the side of the bed and I'd just sit there and go, "Shoot, I can't go any longer." You know, can't control my emotional natures. You know, I wake up one morning, the sun is shining bright, life is great. I'm kissing my wife on the cheek, I'm kissing my kid on the forehead, and I'm saying, "I'll see y'all later." Look like an episode out of Ward Cleveland. I'll leave it to Beaver. 30 minutes later, I'm trying to kill a man at a gas station on 460. You know, can't control my emotional natures. Right? Can't seem to be of real help to anyone. Can't seem to make a living. A bank truck could come to the house every Friday and it wouldn't be enough to pay my bills and support me. No? A feeling of uselessness. This is what we're with, gripped with fear. Now, I'm not talking about fear of a thunderstorm or things like that. I'm talking about fear of being alone, fear of being judged, fear of being disrespected, fear of looking bad, fear of not being liked, fear of failure, fear of success. We're driven by fear. And it's a feeling that's in our stomachs. When we're untreated, without any solution, untreated, it's in our stomachs, and we live with that. When the families tell us, say, "Why don't you just stop? Just quit what you're doing. Just rally yourself up and just quit." Right? If they could feel for 1 second how we felt on the inside, untreated, with nothing in our system, they'd say, "Man, have a beer." Right? So that's what we're sitting in, and that's what has to be treated. If you send me to a treatment center, I'm not knocking treatment centers at all. It's necessary. But what has to be followed up once they get out is get into a 12-step program and work the steps. And I'm going to show you. How much time we got?
14 minutes.
All right. Source of happiness, peace, serenity, sobriety. It's up here, right? God. And here it is, shining in, right? It's trying to get to me. But I'm stuck in this. Right? Drugs and alcohol aren't my problem. I thought all my life, when I started going to jail and going to treatment centers, if I could just leave the drugs alone, I'll be okay. My family thought the same thing. If he just leave the drugs alone, he'll be okay. That wasn't my problem. That was my solution to my problem. My problem was me. Here's the source of happiness, peace, serenity. Happy, joyous, and free, as the room say. But I'm blocked off. I'm selfish. I'm self-centered. Guilt, shame, fear, envy, judgment. I'm blocked off from it. I go to a treatment center, I get a lot of information. I get a lot of knowledge. I get a lot of good stuff. And it's good stuff. I dry out for a little while, I get the drugs and alcohol out of my system. I should be feeling better, but I feel worse. Because I don't have any solution to what's going on in here. How I recovered is I got into a 12-step program. And what the steps are, and you'll hear this a lot, is that 12-step programs don't work. 12-step program is a set of spiritual principles. And I question anybody to say how living by spiritual principles don't work. You know? Start working some steps. Oh, resentment is a big one. As I'm working these steps, these things are removed. Working to the best of my ability. These things are removed. Next thing you know, happy, joyous, and free, settled in. And I'm not sitting in this. If I'm not sitting in this, my mind's not lying to me. All right? Because my mind's not trying to fix a problem because the problem doesn't exist anymore. I found another solution. And I don't have to worry about putting it in my system because my mind's not lying to me. I'm really clear today that I just can't do a 20 of cocaine. I'm very clear today. I'm very clear today that I can't drink a beer. You know, I'm really clear on that. So this is what I got to treat, and this takes time. Just 30 days, when my family thought that if I just went to a 30-day treatment center, that would do it, I would be fixed. This takes time. You know? I have to get out and I have to work a program of action. And what we do with the interventions is we work with the family for 6 months. They're in a stage when an intervention comes in, they're in pre-contemplation. They really don't think they have a problem. We get them into treatment. And after a period of time, when they get this information and they're around people like them and they hear these stories and they get the feeling that unmanageability in their life, then they start contemplating recovery. You know, they start thinking, yeah, I do have a problem. Maybe I do need to do something different. But it's up to them, usually when they get out of treatment, to do something different. What we do is we work with the families once they're... We work with them when they get into treatment. We get them into treatment, help keep them in treatment, because my ego builds back real quick. And after a couple weeks in a treatment center, I'm going to say to myself, well, I don't need to be here. I'm good. Thanks. Got it from you. It's like a tune-up. You know, just go in and get myself dried out, and I'm good to go. I need to leave now. I got to go to work. I got to handle all this stuff that I couldn't handle anyway. All right, so we'll come in, we'll do a second intervention should they decide they think they need to leave treatment early. We help keep them in treatment. And that's a hard thing for the family to do because the family doesn't know. When the loved one calls and says, hey, I want to come home, I'm good now. I won't do this anymore, I promise. Right? Even if the family has experience that shows that their promises and it doesn't really hold any weight, it's hard to say no to your loved one when they want to leave treatment. So keep the wagon circle, keep them in treatment, and work with them when they get out. Help them find transitional living, and kind of keep them in the game, keep them engaged, help them get to, as they progress in their sobriety. Any questions?